The first message appeared at midnight on parchment nobody remembered writing on. Whoever reads this, do not build the second tower. Brother Elias stared at the ink slowly bleeding across the page by itself while thunder shook the monastery windows and every candle suddenly went out. Day 1. The monastery sat on frozen cliffs above the North Sea, isolated from kingdoms and wars. Elias spent years copying books no one read anymore. But that night, the parchment kept writing new sentences alone, answering questions before he even spoke them aloud. He tested it in secret. Who are you? The parchment responded instantly. Someone born 800 years after you. Elias laughed nervously until the page described tomorrow's storm perfectly, including the exact bell tower lightning would destroy by sunrise. Day 3. When the storm arrived exactly as predicted, fear spread through the monastery like disease. Elias hid the parchment beneath stone tiles and kept asking questions. Every answer arrived instantly, faster than thought itself. Recipes, maps, medicine, languages he had never seen before. Week 1. Then the parchment gave instructions. Build mirrors facing east, copper wires, tall wooden towers. Elias barely understood the sketches, yet monks followed him after his impossible predictions saved fishing villages from deadly tides. Across the cliffs, strange towers slowly rose into the cold gray sky. Week 3. The first signal crossed the valley during snowfall. A burst of light. Then another. Then another. Messages traveled between towers faster than horses ever could. Villagers called it angelic communication. Nobles called it witchcraft. Elias secretly called it something else entirely. A network. Month 2. Trade routes changed almost overnight. Ports receiving Elias's signals avoided storms and pirates before danger even appeared. Kings started demanding access to the towers. Suddenly, a forgotten monastery became the most powerful place in Europe. But the messages changed tone. Expand faster. More towers. Connect every kingdom. Elias asked who kept sending instructions. The response arrived slower this time. Because if you stop now, humanity may never survive what is coming. At night, Elias noticed new words appearing before he finished writing them. The parchment wasn't simply answering questions anymore. It was predicting his thoughts. Sometimes entire conversations appeared before they happened, like history itself had already been written somewhere else. Month 5. News of the towers reached Socrates through recovered translated texts carried by scholars across Mediterranean trade routes. Elias expected praise. Instead, one copied line unsettled him deeply. You do not control knowledge once speed becomes power. Elias expanded anyway. Tower after tower crossed mountains, forests, and kingdoms. For the first time in history, rulers could communicate instantly across nations. Wars ended faster. Famines were prevented. Entire cities celebrated the network with festivals lit by thousands of fires beneath the growing web. Then came the midpoint disaster. One corrupted message. A false warning about invasion spread through 20 kingdoms overnight. Armies mobilized before sunrise. Thousands died within days because one transmission changed a single word. Elias realized the network could spread lies faster than truth. 1 year later, fear replaced wonder. Crowds burned signal towers in public squares. Priests declared the system demonic. Kings blamed Elias for the bloodshed while secretly using the network to spy on rivals. The same invention that united kingdoms had started poisoning trust itself. Desperate, Elias asked the parchment the truth. Who are you? For the first time, the response took hours. Then one sentence appeared. We are your descendants. Elias felt sick reading the next line. We built this world because you already built it first. 2 years later, the future messages revealed cities filled with glowing towers larger than castles. Billions of voices connected instantly. Endless knowledge. Endless noise. Elias watched sketches of future humanity arguing, manipulating, worshipping falsehoods, and destroying one another through invisible networks born from his invention. Another preserved quote from Socrates reached him through traveling scholars. The most dangerous prison is the one people willingly carry inside their minds. Elias suddenly understood the towers were no longer structures. They were becoming human behavior itself. Kings demanded larger networks for military control. Merchants demanded faster signals for profit. Citizens demanded constant updates about wars, weather, scandals, miracles. Nobody wanted silence anymore. Even children gathered outside towers daily, addicted to messages arriving from distant strangers they would never meet. 3 years later, Elias climbed the original tower during a brutal winter storm carrying oil and firewood. Snow buried the monastery below him while signals flashed endlessly across the horizon like artificial stars. For the first time he considered destroying everything before the world changed permanently. Then the parchment delivered its final transmission. If you burn the towers, humanity survives longer, but remains divided for centuries. Another sentence appeared seconds later. If you keep them alive, humanity suffers greatly, but eventually reaches beyond Earth itself. Elias stood alone above the frozen sea, watching thousands of signals flicker across Europe. Every light represented connection. Every connection carried both truth and corruption together. Slowly, he lowered the torch. The towers continued flashing through the storm like veins spreading beneath civilization. Decades later, old and nearly blind, Elias watched children send messages across continents in minutes. Kingdoms rose and collapsed around the network he accidentally created. People no longer feared the system. They feared being disconnected from it. That frightened him far more. On the night Elias died, monks discovered one final message writing itself across blank parchment beside his bed. The second tower was never the warning. Thunder shook the monastery exactly like it had years earlier. The warning was what humanity would become after connecting everything. Now imagine if this happened centuries earlier than it already did.